Hello, welcome to another episode of 177 Nations of Tasmania. Italians once formed one of Tasmania's largest migrant communities. And indeed, throughout the 20th century, Italians were one of the most significant migrant groups globally, spreading the influence of Italian culture and lifestyle from New York to Buenos Aires and from Melbourne to Toronto. In Tasmania, as elsewhere, the flow of Italian migrants dried up several decades ago, and the trickle of Italians who have settled in Tasmania in the meantime have come for very different reasons to their predecessors. One such Italian is Dante, who arrived in Tasmania in 2007, shortly before the global financial crisis that hit Italy particularly hard. He was burnt out from his job, had turmoil in his personal life, and things in Italy were not looking great. He was looking for an escape, and he couldn't have escaped further. Dante came to Tasmania as a skilled migrant. Now, when it comes to skilled professionals from Italy, perhaps the first things that come to mind are maybe pasta chef or fashion designer. Probably IT professional would be much lower on the list, but that's the profession Dante came with to Tasmania, and he's never regretted his move. So please join me to hear more about the whys and hows of his journey to this little island on the other side of the world.
I was born in Pesaro, but when I was 1 year old, my parents moved 100 km north to Ravenna. Ravenna is in Emilia-Romagna. If you look at the Italian map, is about 80, 90 km east from Bologna and about 140, 150 km south from Venice on the east coast, the Adriatic Sea. And I grew up there. My father had a small business, and we had an office at home. So we had all people, the lounge was the office. And we had people going in and out, basically every time, yes.
And what kind of business was it?
Our shipping agency. My father's family, my father was a shipping agent. Technically, I am a shipping agent. I'm licensed. My uncle, one of the uncles was a port pilot. Another uncle was a berther. My cousin is a berther. Another cousin is a shipping agent. So yeah, got
So a big family connection with the sea.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And so he had this small business, and I grew up there. It was the town of Ravenna is completely flat, very different from Hobart. Think about it. The town of Ravenna is about probably 8 km from the sea. And it's about, the main square is only 4 meters over the sea level. The town was the capital city of the Western Roman Empire, I believe from, don't take it with a grain of salt, 420 until, after Christ, until 476 or something like that, until the end of the Fourth Empire. And during that 40, 50 years period, they built monuments and so on. And nowadays, you go and see one of those monuments, and you look at, there are mosaics in the original floor, and they are underwater. So yeah, not much, half a meter maybe. And if you go to Ravenna, there are beautiful mosaics. Yeah, beautiful. I don't know how many, 4, 5, 6 places that are UNESCO heritage listed, and that's beautiful. Yeah.
And it's not a particularly big city, is it?
No, it's not big. It's about the size of Hobart, a bit smaller, say 150,000 people live there. It is completely flat, but because you normally live in an apartment building of 3, 4 levels, so it's concentrated. And because it's so flat, you can go with your push bike, you can go everywhere from one side to the other, I don't know, in 15. Okay, when I was a teenager, I was going from one side to the other in 15 minutes. Now it would probably take half an hour, let's say, but yes.
So, because I know like some of those older Italian cities, the city centre is often closed off from cars and
correct.
Scooters and bikes.
Yes,
was
correct.
that sort of what it's like?
Yes, that's the case. Yes, it is. It is the case. It's closed. There's no traffic. The paving is different. It's designed so even if you're with your push bike, so the pavement is designed that It is smoother towards the center of the road, and so push bike tend to ride towards the center of the road, whereas pedestrian, where you have to do window shopping, tend to stay on the sides. And I remember going downstairs in the backyard, playing with my the neighbors. Had a good childhood.
And did you have much family living near you?
Oh, well, yes and no, because both my mother and my mother was an only child. My father had he was one of four brothers, but three of them moved from Pesaro to Ravenna. Okay. So we used on a Sunday afternoon to go to one of the uncle's houses, one of my uncle's house, and have dinner together, play with my cousins. I remember I spent a lot of summers with two of my cousins, yes, because we got very similar age, and we went together. I don't know, we'd say occasionally my parents and their parents rented on the mountains, and so we went there for, I don't know, a month. Actually, this summer holiday in Italy, I don't know now, but at that time you finished school around mid-June and you restarted on the 1st of October. So you had 3.5 months basically of summer leave. I remember going to visit my grandmother and my grand aunt in Pesaro, and every time they prepared a big meal and meat. So have the steak without bread and all of that thing there. Yes, because
What I've been told, and you can tell me whether this is true or not, but of that generation of the older generation of Italians who were brought up during the war, they remembered tough times, and so they're very much concerned that the kids always should eat well, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, they had the problem. Yeah, food during the war was a problem. Absolutely, yes.
So that was also part of your family of...
Yes. Mangia, yes, eat. Without bread, no bread. Senza pane. Mangia senza pane. Yes. Yeah. And then my grand aunt had she used to make a ciambellone, which is like a sponge cake, delicious. My mother was cooking or preparing a sweet on Sundays. I have a very good memory of my childhood. Absolutely.
Is Ravenna or the region, is it known for a particular type of food? Because I know that's a lot of Italian regions.
Emilia-Romagna. Ravenna is in Emilia-Romagna. So I will probably say in Ravenna I would name it the capelletti, which are basically like tortellini but filled with cheese rather than with meat. And of course, traditionally you should have them in broth, chicken broth. Okay. But unless you are 80. But my generation, we never had them. We had with bolognese, so capelletti al ragù. Or you can have tagliatelle al ragù, which is kind of fettuccine with bolognese sauce.
Yeah, it seems in Italy, it seems every region is sort of proud of some particular dish that they're known for.
Yes. Well, kind of Emilia-Romagna is famous for, having all these dishes that are they taste very well. Maybe they're not recommended by your GP.
Okay.
It's not exactly what your GP recommends, but yeah.
So you mean like quite creamy?
Creamy, oily, yes.
What was school like growing up?
School was good. I used to go to a school. It's something, and that was primary school. I was a bit, in grade 1, I was a bit of, I don't know, today I would have been diagnosed with ADHD. I couldn't stand still. I couldn't sit for 2 hours on the chair, so I was just moving. And my mother recalls picking me up from school and hearing from outside of the school, hearing from the windows. Dante, Dante. So in grade 2, she talked to the principal, and in grade 2 she moved me to another class. And there was a fantastic teacher that rather than she understood my problem, and she said when she saw that I was a bit moving too much, I couldn't stand still, stand in the chair on the chair. She said, "Oh, Dante, go to the corridor and run back and forth." And so I was running back and forth 2 or 3 times, and coming back inside, tired. And for another hour, I was okay. I had too much energy, the energy to burn. And I loved that teacher, Eugenia. Yeah.
The bit of information I learned about Italy was that it wasn't until fairly recently that more than 50% of people spoke actual Italian in the sense of the standard Italian.
Yes.
Because everybody was speaking their dialects.
Yeah, absolutely. I will tell you this story. When my grandmother was not self-sufficient anymore, she moved from Pesaro to Ravenna, which is about 100 km north, and then she had to go to an hospital, and she was there, and she could only speak the Pesaro dialect. In the bed next to her, there was another grandmother, elder woman, that was speaking only Romagna dialect. And they could not communicate each other. Right. They couldn't understand. What did she say? Yeah. Okay, so I didn't speak neither of the dialect, but I could understand both. So I was translating from the dialect, Ravenna dialect, to Italian, or my grandmother understood. So she was speaking in Pesaro dialect, telling something, and I translating into Italian, and the Ravenna elder woman could understand it.
When you were at high school, did you, and perhaps as you were getting older, did you ever have any kind of concept of what you might do in the future? Did you have any, was there any aspiration or dream?
No. No. Look, yes, as a young teenager, you're thinking about girls, motorbike, and music. I played music in a band, yes, and that was pretty much it. My brain didn't have enough space for the rest.
What kind of band was it?
Okay, so I grew up in a church environment, of course Catholic, and so I played at a church nearby where I grew up. That we're talking about 14. 15, and I started playing guitar, and no one was playing the organ. So try to play the organ, and so because the guitar, everyone was playing guitar. So to beat the competition, I changed the instrument basically, and there was no one playing the organ. So I played at church. And then I was kind of recruited by a band of another church. So I moved around there. And then in this one there, in the second, we not only played at church, but then we had a band, we were going out. We had a big choir of, about 20 girls. And so we, as a band member, we are very lucky. As a teenager, we were going out at night and playing. Then we occasionally played just the band, the boys, just for dancing in camping.
When you finished school, what did you end up doing?
My father wanted me to work with him in his shipping agency, but I resisted as much as I could. But meanwhile, I had to do it. Then when I came back after I did the military service in the Alpine troops, 12 months. And when I came back, I found a job in a ferry boat. So I was a ticket man in a ferry boat. And that, I think when my father was very upset. I stayed there as a shift worker 3 years, and then I worked with my father for 7 years. from age 25 to 32. Then he, at that time, he retired. He was on retirement age. So he retired, sold the business. So basically at 32, I was unemployed.
And what,
But I didn't want to continue. It
Yeah.
was my choice, let's face it.
and what kind of work did you do in your father's business?
Well, I was working in the shipping agency, so you had to go on ships, prepare the documents. When a ship arrives, the least time spent in the port, the better, because the ship is very expensive. So we had to prepare everything and also notify the receivers and what else, and just keep the ship out without any extra time. Also, the shipping agent pays all the expenses of the ship and then gets the money back from the owner or the charterer or whoever leases the ship. So I did operational work, and I did also, because I'm an accountant, technically, I did the accountancy as well. And that's where I started. So I kind of convinced my father to buy a computer, because my sister was working at Olivetti. So we bought a computer through her, and I started playing with this computer. I couldn't stop. And still after, I don't know how many years, would have been started in 87, I still enjoy playing with my computer. And then started building a little Excel, that was pre-Excel, let's say Excel spreadsheet, but it was before Excel even existed, and a spreadsheet to put all the expenses that the ship had, and print the invoices, print the reimbursement of the expenses, and so on. So once the last invoice arrived, we were able to basically print everything out in half a day and send it out. We were able to send out the invoices, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks before what we did before. And started that, then I started making little programs and started making bigger programs, find a client, and then worked for a software house for, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years.
So how did you learn the skills to do all this?
Well, I've learned from friends. So I had very good friends. They founded a software house, and they were going by themselves. So one day I said to one of these guys, I said, "Oh, do you need someone for help?" "Oh, no, we don't need anyone." "Okay, I'll rephrase it. Do you need someone for free to help?" "Oh, I'll ask to my business partners." And so I started going there. I had another job in the morning, so I was starting going there in the afternoon, and I started, writing programs for their clients. And after probably 6 months, I realized I wasn't learning anything new anymore, and I said, "Oh, thank you very much. I've learned a lot, but I feel I haven't learned anything in the last, fortnight or month. So I think from next week I won't be here." "Okay, give me a sec." And they made me an offer to be paid basically as a collaborator, and so I started working for them. Then I worked for them. Then we're talking about 94. In 97, I had the ambition to have my own business and write software for myself, for my clients. So I got in partnership with a guy. So I resigned from 2 jobs for someone. Anyway, but apart that, then I started sending out a ton of, letter of offers to basically to everyone, spam everyone. And that for about 2 months, nothing happened. And like before the Christmas holiday, someone rang me and said, "Oh, I've got a server. I have to add a disk to a server. Have you ever done it?" "Oh, I've never done that before." I said, "Oh, not really, but I've done something similar." "Okay. Oh, do you want me to come tomorrow?" "Oh, no, tomorrow is, Christmas Eve. Come after Christmas." "Okay." So when I was there after Christmas, the telephone rang, and someone else rang me, and someone else rang me. And basically for 10 years, from 1997 to 2007, the phone never stopped ringing continuously. It was, yeah.
I guess
it was maniac.
Yeah, I guess once you get a few,
Yes, and then they
snowballs.
They say, I got your name from such and such, and then, yeah, and to a certain extent, that must be the reason why I was burned out, because I was leaving home, say, around probably 7:15 in the morning, driving on a nearby town called Faenza, which was on the other side of where I lived. So I'd cross Ravenna, go to Faenza. So an hour drive, work. Then at 6:30 was finishing, coming back home. I was arriving home at 7, 7:30. So that's after a while it takes its toll. So it was too much. It was a bit too much. In fact, when I came here to Tasmania and in the new job, I was working like 8:30 to 4:30. 4:30, I was home at 5, and I was thinking, now what do I do until 7:30?
What do you think was the biggest thing you learned from that experience, or was it something valuable you got?
Maybe in hindsight, what I have not learned and what I would do different is to work less, spend more time with your family. I was always out. I didn't see my daughter growing up, but I realized only later on. I didn't realize the time. I was under financial stress. I had debt to pay, and my only focus was on earning money. That was it.
So you sort of felt, when you got offered work, you felt the obligation to take it.
Yes. Yeah, when someone rang me and said, "Oh, can you come?" Blah blah blah, I felt obliged to do it rather than say, "Oh, look, I've already enough clients. Sorry, I can't take more jobs." In hindsight, yes, but when you are there, I didn't even realize it. No.
But then I guess that is something you have learned from that experience.
Yeah, that's something I've learned.
The work-life balance is important.
And when I see, not because I'm in my 60s, so when I see a young IT professional, or a young could be even in his 20s or 30s, I say, look, don't make this mistake. I started saying, look, I've got gray hair, so I'm allowed to tell you something, and don't do that. I work too much. I didn't see my daughter growing up, and that is it's tough.
How long were you running your business for?
10 years.
10 years.
10 years, yeah.
And so that
97 to 2007, yes.
Okay, so it finished when you basically came to Australia.
Then, I was burned out completely. Yes, just completely burned out because 12 hours a day, and then on Saturday and Sunday you had to produce the invoices or do some research of something that didn't work as expected and stuff like that. So yes, it was too much. It was way too much.
Yeah. Just explain about why you ended up being in Tasmania.
Basically, I ended up living in a big apartment block. An apartment block that was taking 4 roads, an entire block. I really hated it. There was no green, nothing. I really hated it, and then I started to think about it. A kind of some escape. Also, at the time, my marriage was going downhill, and there were a lot of interferences from my parents and my wife's parents. So I thought that moving away in another country, it would have been a good idea to reinvigorate, start afresh with my marriage. Yes. So,
but moving to the other side of the world is a pretty extreme escape, isn't it?
Okay. Yes, it is. It is. Okay. Well, I will tell you this. When I was 14, so we're talking about mid-70s, In grade 8, at the end of the high school, I sat for an exam, and I liked geography and so on. So I prepared a subject. I wanted to prepare a subject for my exam, and I sent to a bunch of embassies of countries a request to send me some material about your country. And no one answered except Australia. Australia sent me maps, information, and stuff like that. So since that, we're talking about 1974, I had a very sore spot for Australia.
Okay.
I thought it was a great one. I didn't dream to come to Tasmania. I was dreaming about a much warmer climate. But when I requested my visa, I was just below 45 years old, and I scored 105 points, which was not enough. I had to score 110, and I requested sponsorship from all the states. And Tasmania and Western Australia responded to give me the 5 points. But Western Australia was only for Kalgoorlie and Albany, where Tasmania was for the entire state. And I thought, Kalgoorlie, I've never been to Australia before, so I just took the decision. I had to take the decision before turning 45 or 46, and I had about a week to think about it. And I thought Kalgoorlie was out of the equation, and Albany, I said, it was a bit remote. A young daughter, and it's 10 hours drive to Perth. I thought that Tasmania was a better place to start afresh, and with the university, so it's a good place for my daughter to grow up.
So you came on a skilled visa then?
Yes, skilled migrant visa, yes.
And what profession?
IT, computers,
IT, okay.
yes. Infrastructure.
And how long ago was that?
We're talking about this thing there was 2005. Then the visa came out. I've never been to Australia, so I traveled to Australia just to have a look, or to Hobart, to have a look if it was a good place to move the family. Something weird happened in the sense that when I was self-employed, and when I told my clients, look, I'll be offline for about a month, everyone had something to do. Before you go and leave, we have to fix that, we have to finish this, and so on. So I ended up not being able to go and get my international driver's license. So I arrived here without an international driver's license, and I went to the Italian consulate and asked for, I don't know, perhaps you can translate my driver's license to see if I'm able to, lease a car or something. And they said, okay, well, leave your driver's license here, but why are you here? Well, look, I've got a visa, and so on. So are you looking for a job? Yes, but first I want to see if it's a nice place to see, a nice place to live. So, okay, come tomorrow. They rang me, said, come tomorrow, around 12:30. I went there, and there was a guy, an IT professional of Italian origin, and said, look, my company is looking for someone with your skills. Would you be interested if I organize an interview with my manager? So he organized an interview, and I got the job. So that was, very, very lucky. But the fact is, I didn't want to talk about that to my wife over the phone. So at the end of the month, I went back to Italy and said, look, I've got a job. We can go even tomorrow. And she said, no, you can go, but I'm not coming. And so I thought, well, maybe I better stay. And then went on, that was beginning of 2006, and then it just inside me just didn't went well inside me, and after 6 months, 8 months, I just couldn't do it anymore. So I got in contact with the person that offered me the job. And I said, is it still available? I said, you come here first, and then you sit for an interview, and then we will see. So after 12 months, I came back again to Australia, to Hobart, sat for an interview, and I said, you move here. Once you are here, you'll tell me, and then we'll see. Okay? So meanwhile, I did other interviews while here. So I moved here to Hobart and I rang and said, I'm here. And he said, next job is yours. And nothing, I mean, you know, if you don't have a job, you can't rent anything, you can't do anything. So I had other people, skilled migrants, that were already working in that company, and I got, kind of inside trader information. So after about a month, the telephone rang and said, you're starting on Monday.
So things really sort of fell into place.
Yes, fell into place, yes. Yes, fell into place, except that when I told that to my wife, she just freaked out and said, no, I'm not going to come. Anyway, that's...
So did you just come on your own initially?
Come on my own, yes. But meanwhile, I have basically closed my small business in Italy. I didn't have found a job here. I was very unhappy there. I felt oppressed. I don't know, bureaucracy, taxes are pretty high, particularly if you are self-employed. You are automatically considered a tax evasor. Therefore, they charge you. Yes, they charge you everything. They charge you more. I didn't feel it was the right. Yeah, I wasn't in the right space there.
So it was your reasons were sort of a combination of your personal life,
Yes.
but also just a bit of the situation in Italy.
Yeah, situation in Italy, and that was when I left. It was 2007. Okay. In hindsight, with the global financial crisis of 2008, I was very lucky because I would have gone broken. I met at church a couple, and she is Italian and he is German, and they came here in the late 50s, and they helped me a lot. I consider this man my Australian father.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
And when you say help, in what sort of way?
Oh well, in a way that at the beginning I didn't know, where to buy furniture. I didn't know where to buy, a washer machine. I didn't know anything, and they took me out on a Sunday afternoon and showed. I didn't have a car for the first 18 months. No, 2 years actually. For the first 2 years, I didn't have a car, so I didn't know anything. That was out of the routes of the bus, routes. So yeah, I saw things I've never seen before.
But are there any aspects of Italian culture or life or traditions that you just like to maintain a little?
Food.
I thought you might say that.
I like the food. I like the Italian music because it reminds me when I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
Or when I was a teenager. And the fact is I can listen to my CDs, to my streaming platforms and so on. So can do that. The food is a bit more difficult because you have to, if you really want it, you have to prepare yourself. First of all, I'm not good, and then you have to spend a lot of time. So, but yes, definitely, I cherish the Italian food.
What does your family think about you living in Australia, and what do you think they understand about Australia?
Well, I have to say that I have been very unfair with my parents. Because when I left, they were, say, 75 or more, 80, maybe 80. So that was the time that they needed me the most. But I left, and neither my mother nor my father, never said anything about, we feel we let us down, or they just understood. They understood I needed to fly solo, and the fact with the way the visas are built. You can't just say, oh, I will defer that another 10 years, because you have to do it when your age is, when you are in that group age.
And you had a possible job opportunity
Yes.
that wasn't going to be there forever.
No. My sister supports me. I have to say my daughter supports me. So.
But to them, is it something weird or unusual?
Oh yes, it's weird. It's weird. Yeah. It's weird. And not many Italians recently emigrated overseas. Not my generation, I would say. When I go with my schoolmates, I catch up. I'm the only one living overseas, I believe.
Right.
Yeah, not many people. Yes. Perhaps a lot of people say, "Oh, look, I don't like this, I don't like that," but you don't take much action. I kind of took possibly some action, maybe a bit too drastic, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I took some action, either for good or bad, I don't know, but I feel happy with where I am now. Very happy. I wouldn't go back. I remember someone said to me, you are Italian. How often you go back home? I said, every night. It's home is here.
Yeah.
Home is here. I love Tasmania. I love Hobart, and I want to stay here.
And so when you've gone back to Italy, I presume you've gone back a few times?
Oh, yes.
Have you noticed much change?
Well, it's difficult to say. I made a point, until my parents were alive, I made a point to go there once a year. Mm-hmm. And then my mother got sick, very sick. I stayed there, I just quit my job, and I spent, and she passed away, then my father passed away, then there was the house to be empty, to be sold, and so on. Was very complicated. All over, I spent about 2 years there in Italy. It was very tough at the time.
But I thought, because you're in an interesting position in that you're, compared to many Italian migrants, you're fairly recent.
Yes.
And so I was wondering whether you noticed much of a difference between the Italians living here, who lived here a long time, and Italians in Italy, and what are the differences?
Oh yes. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I notice. Yeah, there's a difference. The Italians living here are much more relaxed. Yes, I would say yes. I don't know. When you talk to a friend, Italian friend in Italy, they are relaxed and they are okay. But when you are in the street or in a coffee place, or you feel different. I don't know. There's less. I feel less respect. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe it's me. I don't know. But that's how I feel it. Mm. But with strangers, there is less respect. Mm-hmm. That's the way I feel it. But otherwise, with people it's exactly the same, I would say.
Yeah, and I guess that economic conditions in Italy have got more difficult for many people.
Well, yes, that I would say there has been a stagnation since 2002. So yes, it's a bit difficult. Yeah, it is difficult. Yes. Yeah, unemployment is, or compared to Australia, which in Australia is very low. Yeah. So it's high. Young youth unemployment is pretty high. So a lot of young people are basically, whether you like it or not, they have to live with their parents until their late 20s or until they get a job.